A few men of superior intellect, however, being modest enough to admit that nature might not have revealed to them all her secrets, conscientiously endeavored to see into the matter for themselves, but the phenomena not having always responded to their attempts, and not being always produced at their pleasure, and according to their methods of experimenting, they arrived at an adverse conclusion in regard to them. The tables, however, despite their conclusion, continued to turn, and we may say of them, with Galileo, nevertheless they move. We may assert still further that the facts alluded to have been multiplied to such an extent that they have become naturalized among us, so that opinions are now only divided as to their nature. And here let us ask whether the fact that these phenomena are not always produced in exactly the same way and according to the wishes and requirements of each individual observer can be reasonably regarded as constituting an argument against their reality. Are not the phenomena of electricity and chemistry subordinated to certain conditions? And should we be right in denying their reality because they do not occur when those conditions are not present? It is strange, then, that certain conditions should be necessary to the production of the phenomena of the movements of objects by the human fluid, or that it should not occur when the observer, placing himself at his own individual point of view, insists on producing it at his own pleasure, or in subjecting it to the laws of phenomena already known, without considering that a new order of facts may, and indeed must, result from the action of laws equally new to us. Now, in order to arrive at a knowledge of such laws, it is necessary to study the circumstances under which those facts are produced, and such a study can only be made through long, sustained, and attentive observation. But it is often objected there is evident trickery in some of the occurrences referred to. To this objection we reply in the first place by asking whether the objectors are quite sure that what they have taken for trickery may not be simply an order of facts which they are not yet able to account for, as was the case with the peasant who mistook the experiments of a learned professor of physics for the tricks of a clever conjurer. But even admitting that there has been trickery in some cases, is that a reason for denying the reality of facts? Must we deny the reality of physics because certain conjurers give themselves the title of physicists? Moreover, the character of the persons concerned in these manifestations should be taken into account, and the interest they may have in deceiving. Would they do so by way of a joke? A joke may amuse for a moment, but a mystification, if kept up too long, would become as wearisome to the mystifier as to the mystified. Besides, a mystification carried on from one end of the earth to the other, and among the most serious, honorable, and enlightened people, would be at least as extraordinary as the phenomena in question. If the phenomena we are considering had been limited to the movement of objects, they would have remained, as we have already remarked, within the domain of physical science. But so far was this from being the case that they speedily proved to be only the forerunners of facts of a character still more extraordinary. For it was soon found that the impulsion communicated to inert objects was not the mere product of a blind mechanical force, but that it revealed the action of an intelligent cause, a discovery that opened up a new field of observation and promised a solution of many mysterious problems. Are their movements due to an intelligent power? Such was the question first to be answered. If such a power exists, what is it? What is its nature? What is its origin? Is it superhuman? Such were the secondary questions which naturally grew out of that first one. The earliest manifestations of intelligence were made by means of the legs of tables that moved up and down, striking a given number of times, and replying in this way by yes or no to the questions asked. Even here, it must be confessed, there was nothing very convincing for the incredulous, as these apparent answers might be an effect of chance. But further replies were soon obtained, the object in motion striking a number of blows corresponding to the number of each letter of the alphabet, so that words and sentences began to be produced in reply to the questions propounded. The correctness of these replies, their correlation with the questions asked, excited astonishment. The mysterious being who gave these replies, when questioned as to its nature, declared itself to be a spirit or genius, gave itself a name, and stated various particulars about itself. This is a circumstance of noteworthy importance, for it proves that no one suggested the idea of spirits as an explanation of the phenomena, but that the phenomena gave this explanation of itself. Hypotheses are often framed in the positive sciences to serve as a basis of argument, but such was not the case in this instance, the mode of communication furnished by the alphabet being tedious and inconvenient. The invisible agent, a point worthy of note, suggested another by advising the fitting of a pencil to a small basket. This basket, placed upon a sheet of paper, was set in motion by the same occult power that moved the tables, but instead of obeying a simple and regular movement of rotation, the pencil traced letters that formed words, sentences, and entire discourses, filling many pages, treating of the deepest questions of philosophy, morality, metaphysics, psychology, and as rapidly as though written by the hand. This suggestion was made simultaneously in America, in France, and in various other countries. It was made in the following terms: in Paris on the 10th of June, 1853, to one of the most fervent partisans of the new phenomena, one who from the year 1849 had been busily engaged in the evocation of spirits. Fetch the little basket from the next room, fasten a pencil to it, place it upon a sheet of paper, put your fingers on the edge of the basket. This having been done, the basket, a few moments afterward, began to move, and the pencil wrote quite legibly this sentence: I expressly forbid your repeating to anyone what I have just told you. The next time I write, I shall do it better. The object to which the pencil is attached being merely an instrument, its nature and form are of no importance, convenience being the only point to be considered. The instrument, known as the planchette, I don't know if I'll call it the planchette, has since become generally adopted. The basket or planchette will only move under the influence of certain persons gifted with a special power or faculty, who are called mediums, that is to say, go-betweeners, or intermediaries between spirit and men. The conditions which give this power depend on causes, physical and moral, that are as yet but imperfectly understood. For mediums are of all ages, of both sexes, and of every degree of intellectual development. The faculty of mediumship, moreover, is developed by exercise. It was next perceived that the basket and the planchette only formed in reality an appendix to the hand. The medium, therefore, now held the pencil in his hand and found that he was made to write under an impulsion independent of his will, and often with an almost feverish rapidity. In this way, the communications were not only made more quickly, but also became more easy and more complete. At the present day, this method is the one most frequently employed, the number of persons endowed with the aptitude of involuntary writing being very considerable and constantly increasing. Experience gradually made known many other varieties of the mediumistic faculty, and it was found that communications could be received through speech, hearing, sight, touch, etc., and even through the direct writing of the spirits themselves, that is to say, without the help of the medium's hand or of the pencil. Now I want to interject something here. On my website, there is a story called The Dove Story, the Children's Version. If you want to go to that and look at it, this is something that was given to me by automatic writing. That's what it's called now. And I don't just do automatic writing all the time. This was one very special time. I don't employ the use of it now so much. But at that time that I wrote The Dove Story, it was Spirit leading my hand to write this most remarkable story, told with the folding of paper into origami-like paper into a crane. But the story that came through said, I was told to call it the dove, not the crane. Anyway, it's a most remarkable story told with each fold of the piece of paper into the dove, and it's a beautiful story. I couldn't have thought of it myself. Although, in the telling of it through automatic writing, I could see parts of my manner of speaking employed, as though the one leading my hand knew a little bit about my use of words and how I like to think in my own personal way. Anyway, it's called The Dove Story. You might want to check it out. So I do know automatic writing is not something evil. This story is really a very great story. It's The Dove Story. I hope you will check it out. I will put the playlist of it over into the little sidebar, description bar, if you want to go there and look at it. And I haven't yet gotten it published, and I wish I could, but I don't know how to do that. Maybe someone who can do a little bit of using drawing skills could help me illustrate it better than I think I have it illustrated, kind of poorly, you know. But it's a beautiful story that Spirit gave me. I was so impressed. I was so happy that it came through me. But now that don't happen just every day. That's been years ago. It's back in 1998, I think it was, that came through. Anyway, check that out if you will, because I'm interested in this subject. It affects us directly, or it can if we want it to, if we increase our knowing of this. And I love this Allan Kardec. His manner of speaking is so clear and precise. Anyway, I will continue on. This fact established, an essential point still remain to be ascertained: the nature of the medium's action and the share taken by him, mechanically and morally, in the obtaining of the replies. 2 points of the highest importance, and that could not escape the notice of the attentive observer, suffice to settle the question. The first of these is the way in which the basket moves under the influence of the medium, through the mere laying of their fingers on its edges, and in such a manner that it would be impossible for him to guide it in any direction whatever. This impossibility becomes still more evident when 2 or 3 persons place their fingers at the same time on the same basket, for a truly phenomenal concordance of movements and of thoughts would be required between them in order to produce on the part of each the same reply to the question asked. And this difficulty is increased by the fact that the writing often changes completely with each spirit who communicates, and that whenever a given spirit communicates, the same writing reappears. In such cases, the medium would have to train himself to change his handwriting an indefinite number of times, and would also have to remember the particular writing of each spirit. The second point referred to is the character of the replies given, which are often, and especially when the questions asked are of an abstract or scientific nature, notoriously beyond the scope of the knowledge and even of the intellectual capacity of the medium, who, moreover, is frequently unaware of what he is made to write. since the reply, like the question asked, may be couched in a language of which he is ignorant, or the question may even be asked mentally. It often happens, too, that the basket or the medium is made to write spontaneously without any question having been propounded, and upon some subject altogether unexpected. The replies thus given and the messages thus transmitted are sometimes marked by such sagacity, profundity, and appropriateness, and convey thoughts so elevated, so sublime, that they can only emanate from a superior intelligence, imbued with the purest morality. At other times they are so vapid, frivolous, and even trivial, that they cannot be supposed to emanate from the same source. This diversity of language can only be explained by the diversity of the intelligences who thus manifest themselves. Do these intelligences reside in the human race, or are they beyond the pale of humanity? Such is the next question to be cleared up, and of which the complete explanation will be found in the present work, such as it has been given by the spirits themselves. The facts referred to as being of an order beyond our usual circle of observation do not occur mysteriously, but in broad daylight, so that everyone can see them and ascertain their reality. They are not privilege of a single individual, but are obtained by tens of thousands of persons every day at pleasure. These effects have necessarily a cause, and as they reveal the action of an intelligence and a will, they are evidently beyond the domain of merely physical effects. Many theories have been broached in relation to this subject. These we shall presently examine, and shall then be able to decide whether they can account for all the facts now occurring. Let us, meanwhile, assume the existence of beings distinct from the human race, since such is the explanation given of themselves by the intelligences thus revealed to us, and let us see what they say to us.